everybody. Have you ever tried to improve your marriage by changing your spouse, or at least by trying to change your spouse? I think all of us have probably done that. If you're married, you think all I need to do is just get my husband to do this, or start doing this, or keep doing this. Or, you know what? The problem in our marriage is my wife. And if I can just get her to change and stop doing this, that would make everything great. Hi, my name is Kelly. I'm a pastor, police chaplain, marriage coach, and the author of this book, Turn It Up, How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. And I think all of us can relate to that question. Have you ever tried to improve your marriage by changing the person that you're married to? Well, I would imagine that that doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. Why? Because the only person you can change in your relationship, in your marriage, is you. If you try to change the other person, you're probably going to end up frustrated and things aren't going to change. They're going to resist, and it's just going to create more problems for you. But maybe you've tried nagging, maybe you've tried begging, maybe you tried pleading, maybe you've tried persuasion. Okay, hey, you know what? If I can just persuade them to see things my way or to change this behavior, then everything would be okay. Or maybe you've tried using things like manipulation through guilt or pressure, or maybe even fear, threatening them that, you know what, if you don't change, I'm going to leave you, that kind of thing. So I would like to suggest that there's something else that you could do. If you would like to improve your marriage, a key to a successful marriage is acceptance. What do I mean by acceptance? It's recognizing that, your spouse has problems, issues, struggles. Maybe the things that you first attracted you, the qualities that first attracted you to that person, now they annoy you. Oh my goodness. I remember talking with a couple that were engaged. They were engaged, but they've been living together. And, the groom turns to me and he goes, "How can I get her to shut up?" I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Well, she just constantly talks and talks and talks." And at first he loved that about her. But then, now it's become incredibly annoying to this guy. So we talked through some things and she agreed that maybe she could give him some space when he first comes home from work. And then she would engage, or he would engage with her, and then she'd be able to talk, because she was a very talkative person and he was a very quiet person. My point here is this, is that there are some things in your marriage that you cannot change. But what do you need to do about those? You need to accept them and adapt to them. In other words, it's just like, well, this is the way this guy is. How are we going to make it work? There are other things in your marriage that you would like to address. And so what you can do is make a request. Would you please, honey, consider doing this, this, and this? And maybe he'll work at it some of the time. But let me also suggest this, that if there's something that you would like to see your husband or wife change, that's maybe a little bit more of a character weakness, or just a weakness in their life that you would like to see them change, the way to see them change is not by you pressuring them or cajoling them or constantly nagging them, but instead to point it out to them, speak the truth in love, like I've talked about in my other videos, but then to create an atmosphere of love and acceptance. So, true story. Several years ago, my wife, who is a nurse, by the way, and was concerned about my health. Specifically, she was concerned about my weight, because I do have a history of heart disease in my family with both my mom and my dad and my grandmother. And so as a nurse, she realized that carrying too many extra pounds was not good for me physically. So one year, right after my birthday, she challenged me. She said, "Hey, would you like to know what I want for my birthday?" And I said, "Sure, what?" And her birthday 6 months after mine. She said, so this was right after my birthday in January. She said, "For my birthday, which is in June," so that gave me 6 months, she goes, "I'd like you to lose 15 pounds. Now, I remember telling this story to an engaged couple, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? She actually said that to you? That she wanted you to lose 15 pounds? How did that make you feel? Were you mad? Were you angry? Were you upset?" And I said, "No." And here's the reason why I wasn't upset is because I know that my wife loves me unconditionally and accepts me in spite of the weight challenge that I may have. And so, because my wife had created an atmosphere of love and acceptance in our home, when she gave me that challenge, you know what I said? I said, "You're on. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it." And I started working out. I started watching what I eat. I got help. I joined a group. And sure enough, 6 months later, I sent her a picture. Not only had I lost 15 pounds, I'd lost 16 pounds. And so, but it was this, it was creating an atmosphere of acceptance and love, unconditional love in your home. So, in other words, rather than trying to force or persuade or change your spouse, what you're doing is that you're making a request and then creating an atmosphere of love and acceptance. Because see, the key for me is that because I felt loved, because I felt accepted, I didn't feel rejected, I didn't feel pressured, then what did that cause me to do? It enabled me or empowered me, I guess is a better word, to change myself. So in other words, what my wife did was point out the need, make a request, make a challenge actually, and then she loved me unconditionally. So that now I'm not changing for her, I'm changing for me. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to now improve myself and do something out of love for my wife who does love me, because she wasn't just concerned about, "Oh my goodness, I'm married to a big fat slob," or, "I hate the way he looks." She could care less how I looked. She was concerned about my health. And so, because she loves me. And when I received it as such, then what I did is I went out there and out of that atmosphere of love and acceptance, then I decided to change. So, how do you create that atmosphere of love and acceptance in your home? Here's a few suggestions. One is start thanking God for the good things in your spouse. What are those good qualities that you appreciate and love? Not only thank God for those things, but also let your spouse know that you appreciate those things. You appreciate their sense of humor, you appreciate the hard work that they do to earn a living, whatever it might be. Speak words of love and acceptance to your spouse. "Honey, I love you. Honey, I'm so proud of you. I accept you. And, just the way you are. You don't have to change for me. I accept you." The other thing is recognizing that you're not perfect. Let's be honest. If you were to take an inventory of your strengths and weaknesses, you'd probably come up, if you're honest about it, right? You'd probably come up with some stuff that aren't really all that great about yourself. So recognize that you're not perfect either, and that your spouse loves and accepts you unconditionally. Another suggestion is don't put the shoulds on them. Don't should all over them. "Well, you should lose weight. You should stop eating that. You should stop doing this. You should stop doing that. Or you should exercise." Whatever. No, what you want to do is simply support them in their desire to change. If they say, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. I do want to lose some weight, or I do want to address this issue." See, what they need to know is that you are with them and you are for them, and that you are there to support them as they address the issues and struggles in their lives. Let them know that they are loved, even though there may be consequences to their behavior. If indeed the thing that you would like to see changed is damaging your relationship, yeah, consequences are a part of it. And I would encourage you to watch the 2 videos that I made and posted recently on grace, and then also on telling your spouse the truth. Accept the areas, though, that are not that big of a deal, and just let them go. Recognize that this is just who my spouse is, and I just need to, deal with it. And I'm talking about the little things in life, like being too talkative, okay? Like the guy that I mentioned earlier. Or maybe the fact that your spouse is always late. Well, just accept it, point it out to him or her, and then adapt to it. What does that mean? Well, maybe if you're on your way to an appointment, you drive separately and you get there first and you're on time, and then you tell that person that you're meeting with, hey, you know what? She's on her way. So maybe that's a way you can adapt. The Serenity Prayer, that's very, very powerful and popular in the recovery movement, goes something like this: Lord, help me to change the things that I can, and Lord, help me to accept the things that I cannot change, or something to that effect. And I want to encourage you to apply that to your marriage. Lord, help me to change the things that I can change in my marriage, which is I can change me, and I can change how I respond to the annoying things that my spouse does. And I can make a request, okay? And maybe he'll change or she'll change on her own. And then, Lord, give me the grace and strength to accept the things that I cannot change. So I would encourage you to do that as well. One more thing that you could do, depending on the issue and the struggle, recognize that your spouse may not be able to change that behavior without help. One of the blessings that I get to be a part of is I oversee at our church the 12-step groups that deal with alcohol and drug addiction. And that's not my issue. Food's my issue, as I shared earlier, losing weight and keeping it off, but not drugs and alcohol, praise God. But I so appreciate the atmosphere of love and acceptance in those groups. So let me close with this story just to tell you what I saw in those groups and how we can apply that to our marriages. One night I was at the church, and I was walking down the hallway where the 12-step group was meeting, and our biblical 12-step, and I heard them applauding. And so I, wanted to see what was going on, and I walked on in, and they had a birthday cake there. So I thought it was somebody's birthday. Well, I found out, and if you're part of 12 Steps, you understand that whenever someone hits a sobriety anniversary, they bring a birthday cake and they celebrate that person's sobriety birthday. So that night they were celebrating somebody's 2-year sobriety anniversary, their 2-year birthday, if you will, of being clean and sober. And so they were clapping and cheering. And, after that, everybody was talking about how this person, really encouraged them and helped them and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great, thing to just kind of witness. And then the leader said, does anybody else like to share something? Anybody else have something on your mind that you'd like to mention tonight? And this lady spoke up and she said, I'm so glad to be here with you guys tonight, celebrating the 2-year sobriety birthday of this person. But I need to tell you that even though we're celebrating 24 months of his sobriety, I don't even have 24 hours. And you know what the group did? They clapped and cheered for her. I will never forget that, because see, when you create an atmosphere of love and acceptance, and they were happy, not because she's, struggling with her alcoholism or addiction, but because she was there. They accepted her for who she was. And let me tell you, my friends, that when you accept your husband or wife and their struggles and their addictions and their challenges, what they will then be empowered to do is change, just like that lady was empowered to do that and address her addiction in that group, because they loved her and accepted her unconditionally. They didn't ask her to change in order to be part of their group. In fact, they welcomed her and were applauding her for her honesty and her vulnerability to share her struggle. So, in the same way, in your marriage, provide that atmosphere of love and unconditional acceptance. And who knows, maybe your spouse may say, you know what, because I'm loved, I need to change. And then they'll start addressing that. And then maybe the thing you need to do is connect them to the help that they need. Get them in a group if they're part of an addiction or have a struggle that needs that. Maybe it's about drugs or alcohol or food, or maybe depression or anxiety, but there are groups all over the place. Anyways, create an atmosphere of love and acceptance and watch what God is going to do. One last thought for you before I close this. In Romans chapter 15, the Bible tells us this: accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God. God accepts us for who we are, with our sin, with our failures, with our struggles. And then because we're accepted, he works in our life to see us grow and change. And the same thing can happen in your marriage. Accept each other, accept those behaviors and adapt to them. And then out of that love and acceptance, create an atmosphere that will produce growth and change in each of your lives. That's it for now. God bless you. I hope you like this. I hope you got something out of this video. Check out my website, turnitup.coach, for more free marriage and relationship resources. Also, if you don't have a copy of my book, it's right here, Turn It Up, How to Have the Lifelong Marriage That You Really Want. And you can get that from my website as well. God bless you, and may God bless your marriage.